Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Social Services Committee to order. Council, could we do a roll call
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fine,
here?
Simpson,
Here.
Brewski,
Here.
Cleary,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Lockhart,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Purley,
Here.
and Chapman.
Here.
All present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, so current business, number one, authorizing an agreement with Anderson Center for Autism for Foster Care Services. Commissioner Manning?
Thank you, Chairman Fine. We are asking to go into a contract with the Anderson School. It's a school for children with autism. And we have a child that is in our care and custody who has significant behavioral needs. She is basically nonverbal, severely autistic, and again, in our care and custody. She's been at Albany Med because of her aggressive outbursts and to maintain her safely. And she's been there over 100 days. So we did finally get Anderson School to accept her as a child that's in foster care. Anderson School typically has school placements. The county is always responsible when a school district places a child for room and board. But in this case, we will pay for room and board in addition to the tuition. On a separate note, the mental hygiene law services is involved in this case because they are not in agreement with the Albany City School District, who is not willing to place the child in this program, the Anderson School. So basically, there's no other opportunity, and we need to pay for it, unfortunately. We will continue to pursue the legal activity, but it's going to take a month to get the hearing on the docket.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm glad the child is being placed. I would like to ask why the child was held for so long at Albany Med. Over 100 days is, it's sad that a child would end up at Albany Med for that long of a time period.
Yes, unfortunately, we have gone to New York State, our surrounding states, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Vermont, that no one can meet this child's needs. She does have significant developmental delays as well as the behavioral and emotional outbursts. And again, I believe I said she's also nonverbal. So unfortunately, she really needs a high intensity therapeutic level of care. And unfortunately, it's been a systems failure, quite frankly. The developmental disability system, the school district, even the Office of Children and Family Services, and OMH would not consider this child either needing an OMH diagnosable condition.
So what needs to change to ensure that this type of failure doesn't happen in the future?
I think we're working on it. We're working with the Council of Children and Family Services. They have a hard to place committee. I think the children's needs as we continue to come out of this pandemic are very significant. There's a lot of mental health related issues, as well as the developmental disability system, to really look at more services for children. Oftentimes they kind of push back and say the school district's responsible for them if they have a developmental delay until they turn 18. And then that's when the OPWDD system gets involved. So there's very minimal services for children with developmental disabilities through the OPWDD system, but the advocates are working on that to really make it more available for children.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I see that Mr. Simpson has a question.
Yeah, what was the school district's objection to the placement?
They felt they could meet the child's needs at the Center for Disability, the Langan School. but the Langan School even indicates they have extreme difficulty managing her. I do have to say, we did work with Albany Med just to get her back acclimated to a school program. And I think the other thing, they didn't have her in a school program because they had staffing issues and COVID. So she was really learning remotely. And again, a child with this level of need can't really work remotely. So I think basically when she returned to Langan School, her behaviors were very disruptive to the whole classroom. I do have to report, in working with Albany Med, we did an arrangements with the school. She did start school again last week, and so far so good. She has been adjusting and transitioning to and from the hospital with the assistance of our medical coordinator, who goes over every day in the morning to get her on the school bus and take her off the school bus in the afternoon. So it's really a kudos to the staff that we have as well to make that commitment.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the committee?
I have a statement.
Yes, Mr. Cleary.
I think you agree with me, Sam. I don't think it was a failure. I think our department did a very good job working to get this settled. And I appreciate, Commissioner, what you guys did. I just want to make sure that's out there. That's my feeling. I think you guys did what you had to do. And hopefully in the future it might get better. But I appreciate what you guys did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cleary.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Lockhart?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, two questions. How old is this child? You might have said it at the beginning. What's her age?
I did not. I don't want to disclose too much that may identify her.
Oh, okay. You probably understand my next question, then why I'm asking that. Would this have been a child that would have been in the hospital for 100 days? I mean, would she have been served had there been beds at Ellis Mental Health Unit?
No,
At Ellis Hospital facility that's closing down? Or Four Winds that doesn't have any beds anymore? I mean, is it partly a problem because we don't have the beds for children with various levels? Or you mentioned that she didn't have an MH diagnosis, but it sounds like, I mean, the behavioral outbursts and some of those clearly for adolescents come under mental health issues diagnosis. But would she have been a candidate for those, but for lack of beds?
no, she doesn't meet the eligibility for OMH. OMH did consult with us and has been on, I hold weekly calls with all the various systems leadership that, are decision makers, commissioners level, and, addressing this situation. And OMH did not say that she was eligible because of the lack of a mental health diagnosis. And again, for hospitalizations, which are very acute, short-term stays, anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, maybe up to a week. But again, she was not suicidal. She was not homicidal. And it's really, they consider it a behavioral issue. And it really.
So that's when you're saying the diagnosis, because she wasn't suicidal or homicidal.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Commissioner. It's a mess for these children.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, question?
Yes, I see Miss McLaughlin has had her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, on what Mr. Cleary said about the department. I applaud you for going the extra mile for this this person, and I would love to know what the procedure and process is for the school district, because if this is a school-age child, they must have some responsibility, and it sounds like they've abdicated that responsibility. So I too wanted to just echo that I appreciate the way you're reporting this and reaching out and giving this child the best service that she can get. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. I'd like to add, Commissioner Manning, I agree. I think we all appreciate the work you've done. I think, you use the term failure in the sense that it's a failure of the system. It's not necessarily a failure of the Department of Children, Youth and Families, but it's a systems failure that, you know, you had to deal with. And we appreciate that you did your best to accommodate, make the best situation for this child.
Thank you. And I do have to just acknowledge our partnership with Albany Med. If we didn't have such a strong partnership, and this wouldn't have occurred, I believe.
Thank you. I see Mr. Cleary,
Oh, I'm good.
Mr. Grimm.
I think Jeff's on the committee.
Sorry, Mr. Purley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the commissioner. Commissioner, if this Albany City School District opinion was that the child should have gone to their program, where, in whose custody would the child be during non-school hours? Who's?
I'm not quite following. If the child's in Albany County here in custody through Albany Family Court.
Okay, but when if she goes to the Anderson school, is she there 24/7? Is she a
Yes.
resident?
Yes.
Okay, so if the Albany City School District objected to that and said that she should go to a different program, is that also a 24/7 program?
No, it is
Okay,
daytime hours only.
So how could that work if the child has nowhere to stay?
Well, the
Right, yeah.
Anderson School is a residential program, so she would go to their program during the day for academics, and then in the evening, she would be, you know, again, in a residential program.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just trying to dig down into what the Albany City School District's position could possibly have been. How could they have advocated for her to attend a program when there was nowhere for her to go after the program?
Again, I can't speak for the school district, but they wanted us to find like a foster home or a residential program. No residential program would accept her. And again, we went outside the state, and this is a specialized program that deals with severely autistic children. So this is the best fit for her. The reason why it took so long is there was another child that needed to get out of the bed and for a child, and this was a young adult now. And so they had to wait and find an adult bed. That's been the delay on the OPWDD side. So now the bed has opened and she will be transitioning on July 6th.
Okay.
So we're happy but we need this contract in place first.
Thank you.
Mr. Grimm.
Yes, thanks, Sam. So am I clear, the 414,000, that's the cost for the single child for a year?
Yes,
And that includes residence and also the care that she needs to help her in any way they can.
right. Therapeutic, OT, PT, speech. She has a device that she can communicate with folks. And, we actually have currently, and again, we get reimbursed by the school district. That's why we're pursuing the fair hearing related to their lack of agreement regarding her placement in a residential program.
Now, the Anderson Center is set up for this, obviously.
Yes.
Do they have other students there? Or is this
Yes.
just- So,
Even currently, what we have three other children, two from the city of Albany and one from North Colony.
it's 414,000. This is an unusual event. I can't imagine that other kids, just because she's so severely disabled, that's why it's so high.
Yes.
Are there any parents or anyone connected with her that are involved at all?
The mom is. So and we, will encourage that to continue. She's very close to her mom. Her mom can't care for her.
But her mom will be living somewhere else. She'll be residing in this school, correct?
Correct.
For the 100 days at Albany Med, who pays that bill?
We will be paying that bill as well. I met with Albany Med last week. We're going to have a sole source contract So it'll be a lower rate, not their typical rate of $3,000 a day for a bed.
So that's got to be an astronomical number, though. 100 days in a hospital. I can
Right, but we're negotiating that, and so we're gonna have a single source contract, and, they're working with us.
Well, they're an
I-
indigent, yeah, they're an indigent care center, so don't they have to absorb the indigent care, or is this for some reason different circumstance?
I would have to ask Albany Med related to that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks, Chairman Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Are there any other questions from the committee? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Motion, Mr. Cleary, you have a second? Is it Mr. Bruschi, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, that's it for the agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
Second, first motion, Mr. Cleary, second, Mr. Bruschi, all in favor? Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Okay, thank you.